Girl, I spend that in a weekend. Good morning, Minneapolis. Thank you so much for tuning in to a special Saturday edition. This week has been busy, so we're getting at you today on Saturday. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're doing a special thing right now where we're trying to get to 1,000 monthly members at Onsite Public Media, whereas right now all we have is 32. But hey, 32 people that we love, and thank you so much. And it doesn't stop us from trying to get to 1,000 for us to make trial coverage for the George Floyd trial and all the other community stories we're trying to get to. In the meantime, 1,000 members. We'll keep you updated on when we get there, because we will get there. All right, stay positive. Okay, 3 days ago, a thing happened. You know what it is. We know what it is. You know that we know. And we know that you know that we know. So we're not really going to do obvious news, because this is the obvious news. So let's just get right to it. Top 6 memes from the great white supremacist rally Trump riot on Wednesday. Here we go. Honorable mention. Obsessed with these Trump protesters who broke windows to get into the Capitol building, but then stayed inside the red ropes. It was a little peculiar. Kind of strange. A lot of strange things happened. That was just one of them. All right, another honorable mention. I just can't believe Football Man kneeled for the flag. That is so disrespectful to our true... Exactly. We were all thinking the same thing. White men have done incredulously crazier, more unpatriotic things, yet Colin Kaepernick taking a knee for Black lives was maybe the worst thing they'd ever seen in their lives, until they decided to commit insurrection and sedition upon the Capitol. All right, let's get to number 6. The MAGA crowd proving to themselves that walls don't work. There was another great one, if you're a fan of Breath of the Wild, where a white man was climbing up, he was losing power and steam, and then fell down. We just didn't want to show that to you. You've probably already seen it. But the walls don't work. They did climb them. All right, let's get to number 5. Defense budget like 11 trillion, and some dudes that look like this just ran up in our I'm sure somewhere Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are saying, 11 trillion? Girl, I spend that in like a weekend. Yes, dudes that were dressed up like that did just run up in our shit. And they looked at all of Nancy Pelosi's emails, took a lot of information, stole laptops, which a lot of people aren't talking about. A lot of information was breached. That brings us to number 4. Gentlemen, join me in the parlor, where we will be serving white wine. It's great. It's great. Leonardo DiCaprio, it just never gets old. It never gets old seeing a white person looking very smug while holding an expensive cocktail. Great meme material. Number 3. This is without a doubt the shittiest production of Les Mis I have ever seen. Well played. Just well played. All across the board. Well played. And this is coming from a theater major. Well played. Number 2. It's only a coup if it's from the coup d'etat region of France. Otherwise, it's just sparkling white terrorism. And you know what I love about that one is that they use the word terrorism. So many publications like Star Tribune, NPR, I don't know, name one, never used the word terrorist, terrorism, or just terror at all. It was all protesters or Trump supporters. Nah, these are terrorists. Number 1.
They pushed me out and maced me.
For anybody that watched Animaniacs as a kid, that is the best. That is the best. It's also funny because this white woman's outrage that she was maced after invading the Capitol, her surprise, it's laughable. It's laughable at the cognitive dissonance and the shock that these people are in, that I can't believe the police treated me kind of like they treated black people when not even rioting. Well, now you have a taste of what it's like, and you're in a meme forever. Great job. So, a lot of people are wondering, what does white privilege look like? Well, that on Wednesday, that's exactly what it looks like. A ton of grown adult white people treating the Capitol like Chuck E. Cheese. And for you people that are more like numbers people and you just need to see the numbers and the increments to get you more in the mindset of what's actually going on, we've got a mathematical algorithm that'll prove to you just how powerful white privilege is. All right, let's take a look at this picture. How many people do you think are in this picture right now? This is more like a difficulty high level, busy town type of Where's Waldo page. But I would say there's about 2,000 people here, and on the other side of the camera and within the Capitol setting fire to things and doing whatever they want, there's probably another 1,000. So that's 3,000 people in all. Now, the DC chief of police said there were 52 arrests made that day. There have been more made since then, but we're going to go with just the arrests that were made that day. So, 52 divided by 3,000 is 0.01%. Now, there were approximately 646 protesters who were arrested on Highway 94 in Minneapolis in early November that were marching for fair elections and Black Lives Matter. There were 646 people on that highway, maybe a little bit more, but they arrested everybody. So 646 out of 646 is percentage-wise, carry the zero, 100%. So when we do the comparison, 100% to 0.01%, yes, you read that right. White privilege has a return of 10,000%. Look, even Chris Lindahl can't guarantee you those numbers. 10,000%. It's white privilege approved. Let's bring it home. Attorney General of Minnesota Keith Ellison threatened a women's march a few months ago that was going to march upon the state capitol in St. Paul that he would be fining everybody who marched on the Capitol. Hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, if they showed up at the Capitol. However, all you had to do to bypass cops, legal action, and really any accountability was to dress up like a white man who looks like he had just fallen out of a time machine or just had a bad acid trip, or both. And then you can invade any Capitol you want, do anything you want inside of it, and not be called a terrorist and walk out scot-free. That's probably his name, scot-free. Speaking of white men looking like they had just fallen out of something, KSTP reporter and aspiring Alpha News blogger Jay Coles. Yes, Jay Coles has written another steaming pile of Jay Coles. He wrote about the Capitol insurrection this past Wednesday. Coles headlines: Minneapolis security expert says protection of the U.S. Capitol surprisingly weak. Ah, yes, that's the story, Jay. Not the racism, not the white supremacy, not the sedition, not the permission to commit insurrection and attack the nation's capital. It's about the security being weak. Wait, Jay's not talking about this security, is he?
Police are squabbling with protesters. Oh, there we go.
Whoa. That's not weak. That's cooperative. So in J. Cole's article, we have one old white man speaking to a semi-old white man named Michael Rosen. Who is Michael Rosen, you ask? Well, it's this charming looking white man in this picture right here. Great lighting. I love the lighting on it. It's great. And also, according to Michael Rosen's website, Michael Rosen is the president and founding partner at Rosen Security for nearly 20 years. He has focused on terrorism prevention and security and is highly skilled in proactive protection against terrorists and other high-risk perpetrators of violence. Wow, terrorism twice. That's 2 more times than you'll ever hear terrorism in a J. Cole's article about terrorism. Yes, you wouldn't be able to find the word terrorism anywhere in J. Cole's article. However, when he interviewed Michael Rosen, who was nowhere near the Capitol when all this happened and sitting in Minnesota, Michael Rosen decided to say this, quoted by KSTP. Rosen said there were some rioters inside the U.S. Capitol who used symbols and had tattoos which seemed to be aligned with Antifa movement, which is made up of decentralized groups across the country who promote dismantling the federal government. Whoa! Are you telling me that these guys are Antifa? Dude, that's like the most Shonda Rhimes, M. Night Shyamalan, David Lynch plot twist I've ever heard in my life. Did KSTP just say that pro-Trumpers and white supremacists are Antifa? Yeah, they did. So if you're asking yourself, how do I break into something secured by Rosen Security? Well, it's really easy, actually. All you have to do is dress up like Fred Flintstone, going to a loyal order of the Water Buffaloes meeting, and then you'll be able to walk right in, break in, do whatever you want, walk out, never be labeled a terrorist, and actually, they might blame it on Antifa. Rosen Security. So, you're wondering when? When will Krusty J. Coles be held accountable by KSTP? Well, it just kinda happened. Bring Me the News writes, KSTP says J. Cole's Capitol story fell below standards. Hold on a second. Did you just say fell below standards? Are you telling me the guy that wrote about former Mayor Betsy Hodges saying that she was throwing up a gang sign fell below standards? You're telling me he did it again? Say it isn't so. So, J. Coles is really no stranger to white fear-mongering and omitting the truth. He's known for recent hits for making Paul Masano sound like a protest at her house was the Infinity Wars occurring on her front lawn.
I feel that that goes way beyond peaceful protest. I feel that coming and lurking around someone's yard, defacing their property, is about intimidation and bullying, and frankly, it's quite unnerving.
And that George Floyd Square blocked an ambulance when it didn't. So, the theme that we're finding in all of this that we've been talking about this episode today is that in the United States, it's not as important when black people are being murdered, traumatized, and or lied upon as it does when somebody falls below a white person's standards. And that's what just happened with J. Cole's. He finally fell below a white company's standards. And what Jay hasn't been talking about, because it's as important what white media outlets say as what they don't, Twin Cities Public Television and PBS. White public media. A black Somali man by the name of Dalal Eid was recently shot and killed by Minneapolis police officers Paul Hyun, Darcy Klund, and Jason Schmidt after a gun sale set up by Minneapolis police went sideways, or as planned. The Minneapolis police tried to set up Dalal Eid with a gun exchange or sale at a holiday gas station where it was very populated by other customers and people simply walking around. When Minneapolis police decided to start a gunfight. Yes, the Minneapolis police started a gunfight at a gas station that they set up themselves. And as a lot of people will argue, as they saw the one body cam video, they saw that possibly Dalal shot first. And in that situation, a lot of people have to wonder, if you were run up on by plainclothes officers in unmarked cars brandishing guns and screaming at you, what would you do? The Star Tribune writes, what led to the traffic stop? Other than Arredondo's description of a probable cause weapons investigation, that's still unclear. The body camera clip that was released starts just as an officer jumps out of his vehicle and draws his gun. Arredondo said he didn't know of any arrest warrant involved with the incident. Hold on a second. You're telling me that the chief of Minneapolis police did not know that there was a warrant for someone's arrest after they just gunned him down in cold blood like a public execution? This is a tragedy all around. And this is a challenge to everyone watching this episode in Minnesota, in the country, around the globe, to look at the language that media is giving you when reporting on a black life that has been murdered, stolen, and or publicly executed. What is the language that they're using to justify the action taken by law enforcement? What is the language that they're using to protect that law enforcement? And lastly, what is the language that they're not using? Because in film and reporting, it's as important as what you put in as what you don't to get a message across. As the victim blaming continues for Dalal Eid, we heard from Ward 4 Minneapolis City Council member Philippe Cunningham. Philippe writes, sadly, it appears Dalal Eid brought an illegal gun into our city, shot at police according to body cam footage, and lost his life as a result. Okay, since when did the city become a Starbucks? You brought in an outside beverage illegally, now you have to leave? This is the type of rhetoric that is justifying the deaths and murders and killings of black men in this city. So there's little to no context that Philippe is giving in just saying he shot at police and so therefore he lost his life. Well, let's take that a step further. Would we say that he deserved to die if he legally had a firearm? No. How about we say this? Well, black folks just shouldn't have firearms and then they won't get killed by the cops. Nope. So here we are again, running the old, same crusty narrative that black men are justified in being murdered by the cops. Well, if they didn't legally have a gun. Well, if they didn't legally have a gun. Well, if they just weren't out there being black. So, Philippe Cunningham, City Council member of Ward 4, shame on you. Speaking of Ward 4, Latricia Vita is running for City Council in Ward 4. Latricia Vita, a Chicago native and also has served on the Park and Recs Board. She's going to be running for City Council Ward 4, and City Council is going to be turning over. By the time you're watching this, if you go to onsitepublicmedia.com, you'll see that we have a new tab that says MPLSCC. That will give you all the information on every single incumbent and candidate running in each City Council ward. So take a look at that. Correct anything if you want us to. We'll make it very quickly, and we'll keep providing more information as more people keep running for candidacy in City Council wards. And this just in, Friday, January 8th, a man was shot and killed by Robbinsdale police in Robbinsdale, Minnesota. The only information we have so far are from Bring Me the News and the Star Tribune that he was seen walking towards officers with a knife and then was gunned down. If you're asking yourself the question, why would you gun down a man with a knife? Well, you can look no further than Laquan McDonald and many other people that were gunned down while brandishing a knife, and their lives were taken. So, as we saw at the Capitol, police can actually not kill people. They can even talk to people, and in the case of the Capitol, they can cooperate with them as well. They don't always have to shoot and kill people, unlike what happened in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, Friday, January 8th. This is yet another example of excessive force, and whatever you want to call it. Please put your comments on that below. We're going to report on it down the line. If there are any community stories you want us to film, talk about, or get at here in the Twin Cities metro area, we are there for it. Also, thank you so much to everybody that's donated a used camera. We have so many of them. And for the people that are waiting to be recipients, please be patient. We are going to get these to you within the next week. We are packaging up everything. We are buying all of the pieces and equipment for them that are left out. Lenses, chargers, batteries, memory cards. And that takes a lot out of our budget as well. So thank you for the folks that are members that are helping us purchase all that. We'll see you at the next one. Happy 2021. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our work is never, ever done. Bye-bye.